Welcome to another webinar with Richards and Jurusik Immigration Law. My name is Jeremy Richards, and I'm here along with another attorney in our office, Rebecca Kroll.
Hi, I'm Rebecca. I am an associate attorney here. I do a lot of business cases as well as some family matters as well.
And she's doing a lot of these H-1Bs. So she's going to be joining in on our conversation today as we talk about the H-1B lottery results. If you've been paying attention, the H-1B lottery results have been trickling in. And for the first results, people were only finding out by logging into their USCIS account. But I did just notice I got a notification by email. So the email updates are starting to trickle in too. So they're running that lottery. And they should have that complete soon. So today we're going to talk about those lottery results, how to check to verify if you were selected. What do you do if you got selected? What do you do now? And updates and deadlines with the H-1B filing process. There are some changes this year with the forms and procedure and deadlines you need to be aware of to take advantage of that lottery selection, as well as some of the webinars that we have coming up.
Now, H-1B results, like Jeremy said, are slowly trickling in. So what this means is that if you are an employee that was selected, you are now eligible to file for an H-1B petition. So employers and attorneys can now check the selection notices via the USCIS online portal, where you can also download that notice. Selected candidates can begin preparing and filing these H-1B petitions now that they've received these selection notices. And all petitions must be filed within the 90-day filing window, which is noted on that selection, and we'll touch on a little later here. So now for H-1B results. So if you're an employer, how do you check that your employee was selected? What you are going to do is you are going to log into your USCIS account, navigate to the H-1B registration selection, then click on the H-1B registration or the relevant organization name if you are under a company account. You will see a table of all the submitted registrations. Now, under the status column, you're going to look for the following indicators. Selected. If the indicator says selected, that means that you were chosen in the lottery. Your employee was chosen. If it says submitted, that just means that your registration was received, but the employee has not been selected yet. If it says not selected, of course, that means that the employee has not been chosen. Or denied, that means that there was a duplicate registration and there were multiple entries for the same person from the same registrant. Those registrations are automatically disqualified. Now, if your employee was selected, a PDF selection notice is available for download on your USCIS account. That document will include the beneficiary's details, the selection confirmation, next steps, and the submission deadline for the full H-1B application. Here is just a sample of what it'll look like on your USCIS account for beneficiaries that were selected. You'll see on the top there, it says selected 2025. Those are for the applicants that are now able to file those H-1B applications. And you'll see below that it says submitted. That's again where it just means that the registration has been received. And this is what the registration selection notice will look like. If selected, you'll see that it has the employer's name on there and it has the cap that you were selected under. So if it was the regular cap, as noted on here, if you were selected under the master's cap, it'll likely note that as well. And then it also has that date for when the H-1B petition needs to be filed, which is between April 1st, 2025, and all applications must be received by that June 30th date, 2025.
And as far as this table goes, I'm going back a slide. It will remain, and this process is, as I don't know, I don't like how it works with USCIS, but it'll say selected if you're selected. If you notice, some of these selections came in yesterday, some of these selections came in today, and then the remaining submitted, it could remain submitted all the way until they close the lottery officially, which could be in July, August, when they officially give out all of the H-1B selections. So that is one of the frustrating parts of the process. They'll say they've completed the initial H-1B lottery, which should probably come on Monday, is when they'll say, okay, we ran the lottery and selections are done. But then you'll log into your account and it'll still say submitted. And it'll remain that way because, as Rebecca mentioned, you have until this June 30th date to submit that application or that petition. Well, those that don't submit in time or withdraw from the process, those numbers are dumped back in and they'll do reruns of the lottery. So there will be subsequent opportunities to be selected in the lottery. That's why it remains as submitted until they are officially complete. And then when it is officially complete, then it will change to either selected or not selected at that point. And with these notices, when you're not selected, we've seen a lot of times where the beneficiary wants proof that the employer actually did the process, right? So they'll want to see the registration selection, or they'll want to see that they did not receive selection in the lottery. And you'll get a notice either way. The non-selection notice, however, can take some time to do it. Also, what is important on this slide is these selections are beneficiary centric. That means that the beneficiary that's listed on that selection notice is the only beneficiary that can be petitioned. You can't use that for somebody else other than the listed beneficiary. So if that employee quits or you want to use it for somebody else, you can't do that. It can only be for that listed beneficiary. It's non-transferable. Also, only the listed petitioner on that selection notice can file that for that beneficiary. Now, if that beneficiary had multiple different employers enter them into the lottery, which you can do, independent employers, well, that beneficiary can then choose which of those employers they want to then submit that petition for them. So it's very important to understand that this is beneficiary centric and it can't be used for anybody else. So that means once selected, now you're on to the step to file that full H-1B petition with USCIS. Make sure that you use the accurate and updated forms with USCIS when you do that, as well as the accurate filing fees. This also means that you are now at the step where you have to do what is called the labor condition application with Department of Labor to verify the position that you're petitioning for and verify that the wage that you're paying that foreign national is above what is called the prevailing wage for foreign nationals in that area of intended employment for that specific role. You're going to include proof of the foreign nationals' qualifications, the job description, and in some cases, identify that employer-employee relationship if there's off-site employment or other complicating factors with the employment of that foreign national. And it must be filed within that 90-day window. There is no grace period. If you miss it, tough luck. Your number's getting thrown back in that lottery, and you're going to have to file again, do the lottery again the next year. So in that April to June timeframe that's listed on that notice that we just looked over, make sure that it is submitted in a timely manner and it is received before the end date on that selection notice. And again, what happens when people fail to submit to submit those petitions and use those lottery selections? They're thrown back in and they rerun lotteries. So additional lotteries will be run until the cap is fully met throughout the year. And no matter what, the earliest a foreign national can start under the H-1B lottery selection when this actual fiscal year, and that's where it's kind of tricky, it's 2025, but this is the H-1B 2026 fiscal year for H-1Bs. And the fiscal year doesn't start until October 1st. So you can't have that employee start working for you before October 1st of 2025, the official fiscal year for 2026. So that's the earliest start date for that H-1B beneficiary. So important thing to note here is they've already been issuing these selection notices, and now it's time to take action. Now it's time to file that petition for your employee. Make sure you have the updated USCIS form I-129. Make sure that it's supported with a properly submitted and certified labor condition application from the U.S. Department of Labor. and that you clearly detail how the position that you're petitioning for qualifies for an H-1B, that it is a specialty occupation, so that USCIS can identify that and they're able to approve that H-1B petition. And that's an important thing to note, is just because you were selected in the H-1B lottery doesn't guarantee that that petition is going to be approved. It just gives you that opportunity to request approval through USCIS. So the filing of that I-129 is very important. That's adequately supported with proof of the position, and that position is a specialty occupation, and the beneficiary that you're petitioning for meets those minimum qualifications to be approved for H-1B status. So we will be following up on this conversation with some additional webinars coming up. We will be talking about alternatives for the H-1B. So if unfortunately, and if you look back on our slide where we show those selection notices, we have a lot more submitted than were selected. And unfortunately, that's how the H-1B process works. It's a pure lottery. And you know, if trends continue as they were last year, there was a reduction in entries into the lottery. It'll be interesting to see if there's an uptick or a downtick in those registrations this year, and whether or not those odds went up. But if you have any additional questions about the H-1B process or U.S. immigration in general, there's our contact information. Feel free to reach out to us, submit us any questions that you might have, or if you need assistance with the process. We handle H-1B petitions on a regular basis and are able to assist you with that and any other U.S. immigration needs that you might have. We thank you for tuning in, and hopefully you found this helpful as far as that H-1B selection process and what your next steps are in order to get that petition filed in a timely manner.